Welcome to the Driveway Beers podcast with Mike and Alex. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the show. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share on any platform that you're listening on. All right, welcome back. Another episode. Thank you for coming back. I believe this is episode 108.
Wow.
Yeah. Surprised we're still doing this.
Yeah.
Want to thank Cheers and Spirits in the Arnold Station Plaza. We'll be trying out another whiskey tonight. Wouldn't be possible without their support. So we want to thank Cheers and Spirits in the Arnold Plaza, Arnold, Maryland, 21012. Near the CVS, in case you need like the anti-hangover pill. I think they sell it there.
Does that actually work?
Don't know. Never tried. I don't drink enough to get hungover.
Yeah, I used to, but
I don't like the way it feels.
No, and now like a hangover lasts like 4 days. So
Yeah, I'm too old for that.
yeah,
Too old.
nothing sucks more than like having to go to baseball practice hungover.
Yeah.
Or you know what's the worst is like swim practice because pools are always warm and hot and it's early and you're just there wanting to die.
So my girls don't do swim team, but they used to do swim lessons in the morning. Dude, I'd be like, I was that big dude just sweating.
Yeah,
Like, nah. Can't, like, I'd have to, like, crack the door open, stand in, like, the doorway, like, suck it in so people could walk by and get in and get out. Like, I was just like, this is too hot.
Yeah.
But, of course, the kids want you there. They want, look at me. Like, okay, I'm about to pass out.
right.
From this humidity.
Right. Like I see you swimming poorly.
Right. I see you not drowning. Right.
Job.
Great
Way to
job.
not die.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do we get to not drowning?
Hangovers.
Hangovers. Yeah. So Cheers and Spirits is over by the CVS if you need to get your anti-hangover pill / Gatorade. Gatorade seems to work better for me.
Yeah, red Gatorade and some ibuprofen. That was kind of my go-to.
Yep.
And Five Guys.
Five Guys, delicious.
And then just passing it. They're sleeping for the rest of the day. It's
Really?
just easier in your 20s. There are no kids.
Right.
So like, then you could just like be a bum all day and like lay on the couch and watch football.
No kids makes everything easier.
Yeah.
Five Guys, by the way. Even though it's a chain, delicious burgers.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Still, to this day. At least I know it's a burger.
Right.
Unlike the McDonald's, which is still pink slime, apparently.
Oh, really?
I hope they change that, but I haven't been to a McDonald's. Ever since they showed that pink slime, I couldn't go back.
Do you like pink? Would you rather pink slime or like a burger made out of freaking beans and other chemicals?
I mean, if I could go D, none of the above, I'd probably go with neither. I don't know, like, it was like bleached beef or something like that, and they formed it, and that's why it was pink, because it was bleached. I don't know, man. Like, although, to be honest, everyone that eats chicken, it's bleached.
I hate chicken.
Like, before it's processed, like, they have to run it through, like, to get all the bacteria off.
Yeah.
To make sure it doesn't, like, kill people.
Have you seen the infographics of the chicken size, how it's going up?
Oh, yeah. Well, they can't walk if they're, like, in the Tysons or whatever.
Freaking chickens are yoked, bro.
Yeah.
Like, they're just, like, all pecs.
Apparently, like, they take, like, a skid loader and just, like, scoop them up because they can't walk anywhere. Like, it's gross.
Why don't they clip their beaks off so they don't hurt each other?
Yes, I heard that. But I still need to be able to eat.
Yeah.
They still eat the corn, but I don't know. Don't get me wrong, though. I mean, I'm still eating chicken.
Yeah.
Because I can't afford organic, free-range chicken.
Right.
Nobody can afford that shit. It's
Well, once the world collapses, well, I'll be just keeping our own chickens in our backyard.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, I'd probably just die. I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, look, let's be honest with the people. I am not a survivalist. I might talk my way into someone's survivalist camp. Use my persuasive ways, I guess. But I am probably not going to set up the survivalist camp because I wouldn't really know what the heck I'm doing.
Right.
So I'd probably just resign myself and use my persuasive ways to get my family into someplace and just be like, they'll be like, well, we'll take the women and children, but you got to stay out. Cool. I'm done. Just don't eat my carcass, please, and we'll be good.
No promises.
Yeah.
No.
Right. Okay, well, I'm still gonna die anyway. I'll be dead in a moment. Just don't tell them just don't tell my family that you're eating me.
Right.
So they won't freak out.
God, we miss Dad. Do you?
Do you? He'll always be a part of you until you poop him out in the morning. Like, oh boy, that one.
I'd be good till the ammunition ran out. Then I'd have to figure something out.
Well, at some point you figure people would just kind of stake out their own areas.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen enough movies to kind of figure out how this goes.
Yeah.
The only one that would like really weird me out is like the water world scenario, where like the water just rises up so high that there's no land left.
Yeah.
That would creep me out because I don't like water. I don't like deep water.
So I like water. I mean, if it's 6 feet deep or 6,000 feet deep, you really don't know the difference.
I know I can't stand in 6,000 feet deep. I can stand in about. Well, I maybe can't stand 6 feet deep, but you could.
Yeah.
At least you know the bottom is there.
Right.
So you're right. If it's
that
6
kind
feet
of tripped me out the last cruise I was on, because in your room they give you the screen that tells you, like, it shows where you are. It gives you the water temperature, like speed, heading, and depth. So, I guess when we went out to Bermuda, once you cross over the continental shelf, they call it the Mid-Atlantic Abyss, and it's something like, I mean, it's crazy. It's like 14,000 feet deep. It's crazy, and you're like, the nearest solid ground to me is like 4 miles beneath me.
Yeah.
Like, it just makes you, and you're on this huge ship, but it really makes you think how small you are. So that was pretty wild.
Makes me think, well, if this ship goes down, we're dead. I just think of the Titanic. Remember that movie, Titanic?
Yeah.
Everyone remembers that movie. The fact that people survive that amazes me.
Yeah.
Like, I would be Jack. I would just be like, time to let go.
Yeah.
Like, anytime there's, like, a serious event that happens, I'm probably, like, I'm not going to kid myself here. I'm probably going to be one of the first ones dead. Like, let's just face some facts here. Like, don't remember, like, I got a mean windmill if I got to fight someone. Like, but apparently, like, I've tried hitting someone in the jaw one time when I was younger. I packed no weight.
There's no
form. Like, I don't have the puncher's form to get my weight behind the punch.
Right.
So it's almost like I'm barely tapping someone on the chin. So outside of a windmill, and maybe if I get a hold of someone, I can get in like a choke formation. But other than that, I'm pretty much a goner. So it'd be the same scenario. I'd try and find safe passage for the wife and the kids, and I'd be like, "Deuces, I'm done.
Yeah,
life accomplished.
Your progeny has survived.
Yes, and they won't carry my name because I have 2 daughters, and that's perfectly fine with me. The name won't die with me because I've got a sibling who has 3 boys, so the name will live on.
Right.
Just not with me.
Yeah. Well, I've often said, like, in the nuclear holocaust, I want the bomb to land directly on my forehead.
Yes.
So
Exactly. Like, if there are nukes going off,
yeah,
I want to be the first one hit.
Yeah.
I don't want to see aftermath. I don't want to see... Because the aftermath is not going to be clean. It's not going to be nice.
No.
Just gross.
Yeah.
Like, me, the family, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put some sunglasses on. Because it might be bright. I don't know. I'll probably be burned to death.
Yeah.
If it's a 5-second death, I'm good with that.
I think it's probably pretty quick, like
I gotta imagine if you're on impact zone, it's
like Hiroshima, like there were shadows like seared into the wall.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty
Leave a legacy.
Yeah. But it's pretty intense.
Yeah. Imagine if you were like the shadow. Right. Like, do you ever see Raya and the Last Dragon?
No.
So it's a Disney movie. So it's definitely a positive movie. So this is like the darkness was the death, and it would come and it would turn the person into stone.
Okay.
But they then pose into this one position, which was like the praying position, and they stayed that way for eternity.
Okay.
It was kind of like the shadow from the nuclear blast.
Yeah.
Like, at least you're there.
Right.
Like, what if I'm just a shadow? I'm still there.
Yeah.
If anyone survives, they can come visit me.
Was it frozen when everyone turned into ice?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe Disney's trying to tell us something.
Who knows? This has been uplifting.
It has.
This is super positive.
Positive Patty episode we got going on. Speaking of positive, Donald Trump got indicted.
Positively indicted.
Yeah. So apparently there's 21 charges?
Yeah. A lot of them are like all based off the same incident. Like they just hit like every time like a phone call was made of it or whatever they did, like every individual text message was falsifying business records.
Right. Yeah.
So like every place where that was written down. But I still think it's, it's funny because like when it happened, like there's a whole bunch of different takes. Like first of all, I've never been a big, huge Trump guy. I think you can probably go back through our catalog and see. But the issue I take with it is a matter of precedent. So, and that it seems just completely politically motivated.
Yes.
Just the nature of the charge, like they're not federal charges. They're not. It was essentially they've been calling it a bootstrapped misdemeanor. So a misdemeanor that's been elevated to a felony. Because the misdemeanor charge that would have been more appropriate, the statute of limitations has expired. So, and if this occurred back in 2016, why are we waiting until 2023 to go forward with this?
Right.
So, it's not a good look.
And the charges probably won't stick.
Yeah.
The ones I think he's got to worry about more are the ones that'll come from Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And that has to do with election influencing.
Yeah.
Because everyone's heard the phone call where he's basically said, the quote they're taking is, find the votes.
Yeah.
When he mentioned like Brad Raffensperger or some DA there, whatever.
Yeah.
Before we go on, though, I do want to say, anything we say, it's our opinion. We're not representing anybody else but ourselves. All right, now that that's been taken care of. I think that has got more weight. This, I think you're right. If you didn't have a slam dunk case, and I don't think they do, but let's say they do. Mm-hmm. Let's say it's slam dunk for a misdemeanor. What did you do? Nothing. He's not going to serve jail time. All you've done is set a horrible precedent.
Right. You set a horrible precedent, and then you martyred the guy.
Right.
So, the weekend before the indictment, when they announced that it was coming, he raised $8 million in like 3 days. So, and the other thing I have is like, so everyone that is excited and happy about this indictment already hates the guy. Right? Those are your blue hairs, all that whole lefty, the progressives, they all already hated him to begin with. And now they're super happy. So you've united under now he's a martyr in the eyes of his supporters. Like you've just really, like they've all come together. And now you're taking people that were middle of the road and saying, wait. This just like the whole thing just doesn't look good because, first of all, anyone who wasn't born under a rock knows that all of these people do this.
Yeah.
And a lot of them get caught. Barack Obama got caught. He had to pay $347,000 in fines.
Yeah.
Or his campaign did. So where are the charges against him? Where are the charges for why hasn't Barack Obama and George W. Bush been charged as war criminals yet? Where's that?
Right.
And that's the precedent. And here's the thing: it's like censorship. Everyone's loves censorship until your side's not in control anymore.
Right.
And it's a dangerous road they're traveling down because, this is banana republic shit. This is like what Idi Amin would do. Like, oh, I won the election because I arrested and executed all my opponents.
Right.
And there was only one person on the ballot, and that was me. Look, I won again.
I keep winning. Then people love me.
Right. Listen, all I do is win.
Right. Yeah. The more and more people, they kind of see what the establishment is. And again, the establishment, Republicans and Democrats, are underestimating how sick and tired people are of establishment Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah.
They don't like him. They don't like Trump. A lot of people don't like him.
I don't like Trump, but I hate the establishment more.
Correct. And there's a lot... they're really underestimating how many independents there are that think just like that.
Yeah.
You'd rather have the adulterer, brash, dumbass be president.
President Camacho.
Yes. You'd rather have President Camacho than President...
Uniparty.
Hand-picked president.
Yeah.
That is going to do the same shit over and over and over again.
Yep.
And you just look at what happens. It's like it's the same cycle. Corruption. Major disaster. Economic downfall. Go to war. Economic upswing.
Yeah.
Corruption. Disaster. Economic downfall. War.
Yeah.
If anyone looks, you can look at the upswings and downswings of the economy. It's always a 7-year downswing and a 7-year upswing. You can almost guarantee that every 14 years, you have a high, either a high or a low, on the opposite 7 years.
Yeah.
And you can track the events that have happened each time. The only one where it's a little bit different is after 2009 or 2007, 2008, when the mortgage collapse happened and the Bear Stearns and the financial collapse.
Yeah.
Because that oopsie was bigger than any oopsie they've ever had before. From 2000, it was 2007 to basically 2021, 2022, we had almost a steady incline of growth.
Yeah.
You had that one blip at the 7-year mark, but it wasn't a dip. It was basically a stagnation. And there was only a stagnation because we had dropped so much after 2007 and 8 that there was room to keep going.
Yeah.
Well, 2021 was 14 years from that. And now we're going down.
Yeah.
So that's the one blip in the whole entire economic radar that we've been tracking this stuff. That it hasn't been 7 years down, 7 years up, 7 years down, 7 years up. It's been like clockwork.
Yeah.
Until that one time.
And it's interesting because I listen to the Bible in a Year podcast. It's on my list. So if you listen to it every day in a year, you will listen to the entire Bible. But in the Old Testament, they talk about a cycle of 7 years. Like, this is old stuff. This is nothing new.
Seven's what, the Fibonacci number or whatever?
Yeah, and then it was
school number.
Yeah, in the Old Testament, I believe it was in Leviticus. They talked about there's a year of jubilation every 7 years, and then there was and then once every 7 years, like, you had a chance to clear your debts. And if you're in slavery, to be freed, and there's a whole bunch of it is all in the 7-year cycle. So it's been going on for a long time, And if it was written in the Old Testament, chances are it was going on for eons prior to that.
Yep. By the way, I'm surprised Mike was able to keep going through that because I was choking down some whiskey.
Yeah, I saw it. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, that hit hard.
What was that?
So that was the Old Forester 100.
Okay.
So last episode, you guys heard me talk about a YouTube channel that did a 16 whiskey challenge under $25. And so Wild Turkey 101 was the one we tried last time. We liked it. This is the one that came in second was Old Forester 100. Now I'm an Old Forester fan. I love Old Forester 86. That's one of my top ones. This is Old Forester 100, so this is about 15 proof difference, and I don't know, maybe I just wasn't expecting that. That hit the mouth a little hard, where I almost choked.
Now I'm like, do I want to pour myself something after watching your face?
It's definitely the darkest.
Because I haven't seen you pour that glass, so
yeah, I did it before the show.
Okay.
So I've had it sitting in this ice for a little bit.
Oh, so you had a chance to mellow out a little bit.
Yeah, it did. That was. I want to wait till my second try. I always say, look, never go based on the first try. That hit a little bit harder than most. So I'm surprised. I mean,
well, I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, you got to try a little bit.
So, but I'm definitely not doing it neat.
No, I would not. No, that's definitely a try with ice first. Interesting. It did not burn going down though. I think I just got taken by surprise because I was expecting a lot less bite, but I'm gonna wait for the second try to give it a go.
Okay. I'm trying to salvage what's left of the ice here, so.
Might just have to water it down.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I didn't rinse out the old one either.
Okay.
So I might be getting a little bit of that in there too, but I doubt it. I try to drink all the drops out.
Yeah, no, I drank mine pretty much down. I mean, some of that ice melted, but I'm not really too concerned about some residual because I got all the liquid out of it. So
yeah. So let's go back to Trump for a minute. I really, really hope this goes away quietly because I really don't want him to be president again. No. But I gotta preface that by saying it's not because of the man that he is. I could care less. Underneath, I think they're all doing things that a lot of us would be shocked about.
I'm pretty sure. So I think in order to want to get into politics or get to certain points in business or whatever, I think you definitely have to be a bit of a narcissist, and I also think that you have to. There's probably a lot of rules that they bend. Like if you look at a road race with cars running, like the car that wins, it's the driver that's willing to push himself and his machine to the limit, right? And be just on the edge of out of control, but still in control. And I think that's kind of politics. Like in order to be successful, you have to be willing to push yourself deep into that gray area before, in order to get advance in government. And right. I'm sure they screw a lot of people over. And people remember this stuff. But I also think that a lot of them, because of the power, like, I'm sure they were all fucking porn stars. And fucking whoever they could.
Right.
Some, like, I don't really see Bernie Sanders laying pipe to the interns. But, I'm pretty, like, you see the smooth, slick. I mean, look at John Edwards. Everyone thought John Edwards was awesome.
Yeah.
And it turns out he's bagging some reporter while his wife has cancer, like just a complete shitbird. Yeah. So I think probably they're all doing it. It's just Trump was just open about, like, I mean, was anyone surprised that my whole thing with Donald Trump, he's like, oh, I'm so against abortion. I'm thinking to myself, there's no way that dude didn't pay for a couple of abortions in the 80s. I mean, come on. Like, he had to have paid for quite a few of them. So that hypocrisy, but they're all doing it.
Yeah.
I don't, they're like, oh, he's infinite. Like when Bill Clinton got jammed up with the Monica Lewinsky thing, like, I didn't really care. Like, great, I was much younger, but even looking back, I don't really care.
I didn't care.
The president of France, I'm not sure about the current one, but like I think it was Francois Mitterrand. When he passed away, both his wife and mistress attended his funeral.
Right.
Like they knew he openly had a side piece.
Right.
That's the one they knew about. They didn't do your job. I don't care what you do on your own time.
Yeah.
So, but here we have this thing where we have to have the morally upright president. I don't want a friend. They're not your friend. And that's the whole thing. Like, I think he cares about me. He doesn't. I can guarantee you he does not give two shits about you.
Right.
So
they say we vote for the people who we think we could have a beer with. And Donald Trump doesn't drink, so you can't have a beer with him. No, it's not like that. That's not what that means.
Well, I voted for Barack Obama twice, and
I did as well.
I mean, I'd drink a beer with, but that's not why I voted for him.
Well, so when he ran against who did he run? Mitt Romney and
he ran against John McCain first,
right? And
look, George W. Bush, and like everything was in such bad shape when Obama ran in 2008. The Democrats could have literally run a freaking wet paper bag. I mean, and it was just John McCain's turn to run.
Yeah.
He got kind of screwed over by W. and Karl Rove in
Sarah Palin.
Yeah.
You couldn't have picked a worse running mate.
Yeah. And I can see Russia from my house. Like, but,
Talk about a caricature.
Yeah. But I don't, but I never really thought like, oh, I think, Barack Obama and I would drink a beer.
No. I think there's a reason why it generally goes 8 years of one party, then 8 years of the next.
Mm-hmm.
It's because after 8 years, nobody can stand the people that are there.
Yeah.
And we're just voting for the other side just to change the people that are there.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want you and the people you came in with, so we're going to vote for them.
Yep.
And hopefully they don't screw it up.
And then you had 8 years of Reagan, then you had 4 more years of Bush 1. But that was just kind of continuation of Reagan.
Yeah, well, so that was a weird pairing because Reagan was not a political figure.
Yeah.
He was an actor. Was he governor of California?
Yes.
Okay. So he had some politics under his belt.
Yeah.
Bush, on the other hand, was majorly into the underbelly of politics.
Oh, he was the deep state.
Yes.
He was in charge of the CIA or NSA.
Yeah, he was straight at J. Edgar Hoover.
Yeah.
And continued those policies.
Mm-hmm.
And then from CIA, I think he was always within the government.
He was permanent Washington.
Yeah.
And that's something that Jimmy Dore talks about, is permanent Washington.
Yeah.
And, that's the... a lot of people talk about, like, so, like, so right before the Trump indictment, we had that school shooting in Nashville. And then all of a sudden, boom, Trump indictment. Nobody talks about the Nashville incident anymore.
Right.
They're planning it. And I don't really think they're planning. I think all these people just think exactly the same because they're essentially the same people. Everyone in politics. The permanent Washington, the media elites, they're all of... I mean, when you think about it, they all grow up they go to the same schools. They run in the same social circles. All of them go to, what is that? Harvard School of Public Policy or whatever. They all go there. They all do these fellowships. They all work for the same think tanks. Then they come out and they just move up. They're all they go to the same bars. When they're young, they fuck the same girls. The girls fuck this. I mean, it's this. So there's really no difference between any of them. And maybe not so much with the elected people, but like the actual like upper level bureaucrat types.
Yeah, I think to a certain level, some of those politicians, the elected ones, are in that group.
Yeah.
I think what happened was the Reagan to Bush handover. I don't think the Republicans had anyone to run.
Yeah.
And so Bush was just basically, well, I was the vice president, I'll run. And he won. And then 4 years later, he ran into the buzzsaw that was Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
And that was everyone's beer president.
Yeah.
And I also think part of it was I don't think George Bush Sr. really wanted to be president.
Mm-hmm.
I think if he wanted to be president, he would have won re-election.
Yeah.
I think he has that much power.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so much so he got his son elected.
Yeah.
I don't think that was a coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
But I also... I think Reagan was kind of an outlier like Trump was.
Mm-hmm.
But he also could have... He could have also ingratiated himself with that deep state. And that's how he maybe won.
Yeah.
But he also brought about the Christian coalition.
Yeah. Well,
and nobody really saw that coming.
Yeah. I mean, Reagan spent a boatload of money. All that, and that's how he won the Cold War, was just by bankrupting. The Russians couldn't keep up with it.
Right.
But who does that make hot? All the defense contract, all those donors, defense contractors, all those people that just they're the ones that are making all the money off this stuff.
Well, and Bush was part of that.
Yeah.
Because the Bushes were friends with Dick Cheney.
Mm-hmm.
Dick Cheney was the president of Halliburton.
Yeah.
Who, I mean, you go back far enough through all the acquisitions with KKR, Brown, and I think Brown was I can't remember what Brown and something was, but they're all defense contractors. Mm-hmm. They all make money off of war.
Yeah. And
not necessarily off of weapons.
Mm-hmm.
KKR basically sets up the foreign bases. They do the meals. They basically set up the base exchange. They set up the mess halls. They set up the housing. And they get paid for all this.
Mm-hmm.
They get paid to have the janitors over there, the line cooks, the meal prep. They're getting paid for all of that.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily just missiles like Raytheon and Northrop Grumman.
Yeah.
There are other ways to make money out of war.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what those guys did. And war was profitable.
Mm-hmm. Still is.
Very much so.
Yeah.
The difference now is the media. Before they could control the media, because at one point there were only 4 stations.
Yeah.
Then
and the newspapers.
Right. And then there became more. Like CNN came about. CNBC. Mm-hmm. MSNBC. Well, MSNBC was literally a joint venture between Microsoft and NBC.
Yeah.
That's why MS, Microsoft,
yep.
NBC.
Yeah.
Which is NBC. It made no sense for that pairing to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the fact that Microsoft printed money.
Yeah.
And they needed another propaganda wing. Well, now we need a propaganda wing on the other side. Fox News.
Mm-hmm.
So cable news now ended up being the propaganda wings.
Yeah.
But ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, the regular news stations, were also part of that. And it continues today, like you said. Nashville shooting. Well, the person who did the shooting didn't fit our narrative.
Right.
So we now need the other story to get people away from that. Trump is indicted.
Oh, here we go.
So everyone's going to look at the little birdie that Trump is because Trump runs news cycles.
Yeah.
Even 3 years out of office, that dude runs news cycles.
Oh, yeah.
He's profitable.
Yeah.
As long as you keep him in the news, you get eyeballs on your station.
Yeah. And here's the thing. If they wanted Trump to go away, just stop covering him.
He would go away in an instant.
Yeah.
You don't cover the rallies. You don't cover anything he says.
Right.
He's not on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
He's not on any social media other than his own, which nobody else is on.
Yeah.
Like, the only times you hear from him on Truth Social is when someone else takes a screenshot and posts it on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's... By himself, he's ineffective. They make him what he is.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, if everyone stopped covering him, he goes away.
Yeah.
And people got to remember, part of the reason why he won the nomination back in, was it 2016?
Mm-hmm.
Was because that's who the Democratic Party pushed. They were trying to pick the opponent they thought they could beat.
Yeah.
And Trump was it. Like, oh, Hillary will kill him in a landslide.
Yeah.
Well, for whatever reason, people equated Hillary to the deep state.
Yeah.
And they still do. And I actually think what happened was I think the Bushes and the Clintons got a little too cozy. And people are like, wait a minute. They're all going to functions and doing the stuff together, and they look really chummy.
Yep.
Hey, wait a minute. And people are kind of like, well, something doesn't seem right here.
Yeah.
And so Trump comes along. It would have been Clinton, Bush, Clinton.
Yeah.
Until Barack Obama came, ruined that party.
Yeah.
So then it was Reagan, who had a Bush there, Bush, an actual Bush, Clinton, another Bush.
Yep.
And you were going to have another Clinton? It literally Bush, Clinton, Bush, Clinton. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, no, hell no.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, wait a minute. This guy's really charismatic. Let's put him in there. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure he made a deal.
Well, there was a deal. Because the thing is, if a primary goes too long, especially when there's no, like after a president has served 2 terms, so both sides have to primary.
Yep.
If a primary goes too long and you have the candidates just beating the crap out of each other, eventually they're all going to show each other's dirty laundry. So at some point, the higher ups of the party have to step in and be like, okay, we got to pick somebody because this isn't, we're going to lose because we're just airing all our dirty laundry out there. So I think the deal was that he would be the president, he'd be the nominee. Hillary would support him, would get all her people to support him, and then she would be given a position in the cabinet, which Secretary of State is like, there isn't one much bigger than that.
Right.
So then when he was done, it would be her turn to run, which is exactly what happened. Except it was kind of revealed that she was pretty much like one of the most unlikable people there is. So then enter Trump, who then they push, and I guess people just didn't like Hillary hated her that much. They didn't run a very good campaign in 2016 either, because they just assumed they had it in the bag. So, but they say the two most people, the person who was most surprised of that night was Donald Trump. The second one was Hillary Clinton was most surprised. The second one was Donald Trump.
Right.
Because I don't think he had any thought that he was going to win.
Nobody thought he was going to win.
Yeah.
I remember, normally on election night, I'll stay up to see who's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
My wife does too, but she went to bed. She's like, "This is in the bag."
Yeah.
And I stayed up and I'm watching. I'm like, something ain't right.
I remember my wife and I stayed up and we were drinking wine, and the wine I was drinking was called Dark Horse. And after that, I was like, that's apropos, isn't it?
I remember looking at it and be like, this isn't moving the right way.
Yeah.
And then he started picking more states. I'm like, he's got a shot. And then she started losing more.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, she's got to win. I forgot what state it was. But if she don't win that, she's done. And I just remember thinking it was weird. And then, of course, we talk with other people. And they all, pretty much everyone said the same thing. It was almost like you had the never Trump people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of independents were like, I would never vote for Hillary.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be 8 more years of the same.
Mm-hmm.
8 more years of what her husband did.
Yeah.
8 more years of Bush. 8 more years of Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Which is wars.
Yeah.
People were just sick of war at that point.
And, Barack Obama, they ran out of bombs to drop on Syria. They ran out of bombs. They had no more bombs to drop. So, after they went through the old Vietnam inventory, because they could just attach those JDAM tail caps to a dumb iron bomb, and they can be got. They ran out of bombs to drop.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
but I mean, fast forward to now. I do think Donald Trump has kind of worn out his welcome. I think people are just tired of hearing from him. Everyone said that. Everyone keeps saying the same thing. If he just shut up, I'd vote for him again.
mm-hmm.
Now I hear some women say, "No, he's such a misogynist. He said grab him by the pee."
Yeah.
Like, okay. You don't think some of these other politicians have said far worse? Just not on camera.
Yeah, they're probably all doing it.
Right.
That's the thing.
Like Clinton had an intern in the White House.
Do you think that intern was the only one that he was banging?
Absolutely not.
You know, like that's the whole thing. Like, oh well, you know, George W. didn't do that. Maybe he did. Like, I'm sure at some point when he was blowing coke in Texas, he was banging all kinds of whores.
Right.
You know, so like, stop pretending that these people are your friends and your neighbors. They're not.
Or worse, I mean, look, let's say he didn't do any of it.
Yeah.
He's done other stuff to screw over some other people.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Literally or figuratively.
True. In business and or not.
Yeah.
Something happened and they weren't kind. That's not the reason why I'm going to vote for that person.
Yeah.
I'm voting for someone, and the one thing Trump has still is the whole America First issue.
Mm-hmm.
Now, DeSantis has grabbed onto it and is running with that.
Yeah.
But Trump proved it. In his 4 years, he actually put Americans first.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to hope that DeSantis, who happens to run in those same circles from Yale and wherever else he went, Harvard Law.
Yeah.
I think he went undergrad at Yale, Harvard Law School, or was he, I don't know, or Princeton Law School? I forgot which one.
And he was in the Navy as a JAG lawyer.
Sure. But he runs in that same circle. Now, he says the right things. He's doing the right things for conservatives in Florida. But is he another George Bush?
Yeah.
Just another R for the deep state next to his name?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? But you know Trump isn't. Because they wouldn't go after him this hard if he was playing ball.
Yeah.
Like, they really don't like that guy.
Yeah.
And most times it doesn't matter what a president does. They let you ride off into the sunset. It's like the president's code.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's like you're hated.
Yeah.
Like, everyone hated George W. Bush. And then all of a sudden, now everyone likes George W. Bush again. There's a great skit with, I think Will Ferrell was, back when SNL was kind of still funny. And Trump was president, Will Ferrell was the host, and he reprised his role as George W. Bush. And he's like, let's not forget, guys, I was bad. Really bad. But everyone loves him again. Yeah. You know, they're all friends and hanging out. Like,
well, now he's the lovable idiot.
Yeah.
That's what he is.
And like, oh, it's so cute. Like, him and Michelle Obama have such a good relationship. And, okay, is that cool? It's like when you watch the All-Star game. Like, say, the NHL skills competition. And Alex Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby are, like, fist bumping and hanging out. And, like, oh, it's cool. These guys are, like, normal guys. Like, you know, they're friends off the ice. Like, everyone wants to think that. But I think that's the kind of how people are applying it to politics. Like, oh, look, they're all friends. Which the thing is, they are, because they all have the same interests.
Right. And the interest is screwing every American out of their money.
Right.
Like, they don't want... The deep state doesn't want you to have money. Because they want it.
Yeah.
They want your money. And essentially when you pay taxes... And I'm not an anti-tax person. I think there's a place for it. But major road construction, military investment, pharmaceuticals, it all runs through the government.
Yeah.
From you, the taxpayer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just look at advertising. I look at, like, I watch YouTube and advertisements pop up. Pfizer's literally, every other commercial is a Pfizer commercial.
Yeah.
About vaccines that have nothing to do with COVID.
Yeah.
And they're literally saying, here's Dulera, a Pfizer vaccine.
Yeah.
Or here's Ramadabba Ding Dang,
yeah,
a Pfizer vaccine.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
Yes. Like, for real.
Yeah.
Like, why do I care who makes it?
Yeah.
Oh, because Pfizer thinks there's a ton of goodwill out in the public from half the population who thinks they're saints for that COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
So now they want to say a Pfizer vaccine. Because half the country thinks it's amazing now just because it's from Pfizer, and the other half of the country won't touch it because it's from Pfizer.
Right. And it's funny because the half that likes Pfizer now was the half that hated Pfizer 10 years ago.
Yes.
It's just everything's turned on its head. You know what? It's funny to listen to. So I listen to Jimmy Dore every Friday. That's like my thing. Every Friday, Jimmy Dore comes on. That and my Bible in Your podcast. But so Jimmy Dore would say that, they would have done the same exact thing to Bernie Sanders had he won. And because 2016 Bernie Sanders was the outsider, and they were trying to get rid of. It was Hillary was the chosen one, but this pesky Bernie Sanders wouldn't go away, and that's what drove what hurt Tulsi Gabbard was she was like, no, Sanders should be it. She wouldn't play ball with them for Hillary, and they kicked her out of the DNC, and
Hillary called her a Russian asset.
Yeah,
it's like it was really funny listening to Matt Taibbi went to Congress. He was asked to go to I forget what committee it was, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who was the head of the DNC during that primary with Hillary and Bernie, and she essentially cheated for Hillary.
Yeah,
She didn't give all the documentation to Bernie Sanders' team that she gave to Hillary's team. She didn't give them equal access, and she was trying to berate Matt Taibbi about journalistic ethics. and she got roasted on Twitter because, wait, aren't you the same lady who rigged a primary in favor of your boss?
Yeah.
Which was Hillary at the time? And you're grilling this guy about journalistic ethics?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you have no business. You shouldn't utter the word ethics.
Yeah, you should have just sat this one out.
Yeah.
Like, this was not your best moment.
Yeah.
She would probably, in back first, she's like, oh, no one remembers that. Yeah, everyone remembers that, Debbie. Everybody remembers what you did.
We were all here.
Yeah. Everyone, and the weirdest thing about all of that was, where did Bernie go? He is not the old Bernie Sanders.
No, he came back and ran in 20 in the primaries, but essentially is just an establishment guy.
He was a watered down version of himself.
Yeah.
Man. It was just like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, you were Medicare, Medicaid for all. You were all about Medicare being negotiate drug prices, which they finally just did.
Yeah.
Under Trump.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like, that was your whole platform.
Mm-hmm.
And you got it done under a Republican president that nobody likes.
Yeah.
Like, and you're still shilling for the DNC. And not only did they screw you over, but they wouldn't even let you, they wouldn't even let you in exchange for getting screwed over to pass the one thing that you just harp on.
Yeah.
Medicare for all, and allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices. Like, you didn't get any of that. You got nothing. And your brand got tarnished.
Yep.
To this day. Like, you want to know who outshines him now? AOC.
Yeah. But see, here's the thing. Even AOC is establishment. So, when she was elected, was that 2016?
I think so.
Yeah. When she came in, her politics and she's a socialist. Like, she came out and ran as a socialist. So I disagree with her on almost all of her policy stances. However, I was like, okay, she's not she unseated like the guy that had been there for like 35 years. Like, that guy's gone, and now she's in. It's like, okay. And the rest of them from they call it the squad with Ayanna Presley and Ilhan Omar and all this. Okay, maybe these people will be a little bit different. No. They're voting for war in Ukraine, sending money to Ukraine. You're doing the same exact thing that all these scumbags that you unseated do. You're no different. Complete disappointments. So
it boggles my mind. Like, they're supposed to be...
Like, do they bring him in like, okay, new kid, this is how it works?
Right.
Like, waterboard them until they come along with it? Or is it just like, hey, you know all that stuff you said about... Yes, that congratulations, you're in. You want to stay in. This is what you're going to do.
Well, it's almost like... It's like they say, look, you can say whatever you want out there, but when it comes time to vote, this is how you're going to vote.
Yeah.
You're going to say you're anti-war all day long until you're blue in the face. But when we go to vote for this war, you know where you're going to vote.
Yeah.
Or we're going to choke you out.
Yeah.
Financially.
We do the same thing we did in Tulsi Gabbard.
Like, one of the reasons why Nancy Pelosi was so successful is because her San Francisco donors are so wealthy and they donate across the country. Mm-hmm. And without Nancy's approval, they didn't get any money.
Oh, yeah.
So she probably went over to AOC like, look, you can talk all you want, but if you're not voting the way I want you to vote, you're not going to keep that seat.
Yeah.
And you like all this stuff, don't you? You like the nice office. Mm-hmm. You like the car. You like the car service.
Yeah.
You like having a platform. You like being on Twitter.
Yeah.
You like having 4 or 5 million followers. You want to keep it?
And the committee assignments and then all the cheddar that comes with that.
Yeah.
And I think also someone think, well, okay, if I deal with the devil on these things, and maybe I give him too much credit, but maybe it's like, okay, if I deal with the devil on these things, I can still do some of the things that I want to do. Or if I'm gone, I can't do anything.
Right.
But if I play ball with him a little bit, I can at least do some of it.
But the weird thing is, Bernie didn't get shit. Ever. Like, think about it. That dude's been playing ball since the 70s. I think he got to Congress in the 80s, though. Mm-hmm. But he was in Vermont politics before. He was the mayor of Burlington in the 70s, I think. So let's say that guy, I'm not going to look it up. Let's say that guy's been in Congress since the 80s. You're telling me you've been there 20, 30, almost 40 years. And they didn't give you one policy.
Yeah.
Until Trump gave you Medicare drug prices.
Right. The guy you hate.
The guy you hate. Like, you go on camera, you bash that dude at every single opportunity you get.
Yeah.
He did the one thing you've been trying to do for 40 years. Like, no one's going to convince me that guy's not bought and paid for.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't get it. Like, I guess in this day and age, look, they're still trying to play the old game. Well, we can tell the media what to write. Well, you can't anymore. Mm-hmm. There's too many outlets.
Yeah. And
they reach enough people. Like, the people that watch ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox for the 5 o'clock news are dying out.
Oh, yeah.
The ones who watch CNN are dying out.
Well, the leading news show right now is Tucker Carlson.
Right. And I could almost guarantee you, if you checked, like, web shows or podcasts, majority of them are going to be conservative leaning.
Oh, yeah.
So what does that leave liberal organizations with? Vox, HuffPo,
yeah,
New York Times, Washington Post, MSNBC.
Groups that have all pretty much sacrificed their credibility.
Well, and that's the other part of it. The veil of impartialness and truth is gone.
Yeah.
For half of the readers.
Yeah.
You still got some, but you're losing your grip on it. Mm-hmm. And you lost Twitter. Now, Twitter only reaches a couple million people.
Yep.
Out of a country with 315 million. So it doesn't sound like a lot. But again, you're getting bites taken out a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, 2 million here, 4 million here, 3 million there, 4 million here, 2 million. They're getting their news from somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's not you. But meanwhile, you still have your stronghold. And you've convinced them of these truths that you're putting out there.
Mm-hmm.
And they go out in the real world and they try and have a debate with somebody. And they say something. And that person that they're debating with says, that's not true.
Yeah.
And they know how to debate. They'll do their circular references that make no sense to the other person. They'll circle. Well, what about Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Well, what does that got to do with what we were talking about?
Mm-hmm.
That you were lied to for 2-3 years. We've talked about this before. Certain people are living 2 years in the past and are just now realizing things that people 2 years ago knew.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what. Like it's almost like you're living on different timelines.
Yeah.
People were hearing true information 2 years ago, 3 years ago. People are now 2-3 years later just hearing this information. Yeah. And it's like, remember 2 years ago when we talked about this? Well, yeah, but I didn't know about this information wasn't out there. Yes, it was. You just didn't want to look.
Right. Or the news that you listened to said it was misinformation or disinformation. Yeah. And then, like the whole lab leak theory.
Yeah.
Like that was 2 years ago. That was getting kicked off. If you mentioned it, was kicked off of all social media. I think you were called a racist.
Yeah.
And if you talk to anyone who works in a lab environment, would be like, yeah, that's how it got out. Like, if it's going to get out, that's how it's going to happen.
Well, then you also had gain of function research.
Yeah.
We don't do that. The U.S. doesn't do that. Oh, wait. Emails came out.
Yeah.
Direct from the source. The U.S. does do that.
But there's still people who think Anthony Fauci's a saint.
Yes. But I mean, those
people are also driving 55 miles per hour in the left-hand lane with their mask on by themselves.
Correct. And those are like two of just minor things. Like, imagine all the other things that they're still living 2-3 years in the past on. Yeah. That they just haven't gotten information that what they originally were fed 2-3 years ago wasn't right.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're just now coming into the current day.
Mm-hmm.
But they still want to hang on to what they thought was true. Because no one wants to admit they got duped.
Yeah.
Nobody. Because they're educated. I mean,
yeah.
We're talking about educated people.
The laptop class.
But they went to school. They have a desk job. They work in a nice environment.
Right. Their hands aren't getting dirty with grease and
right. I can understand why the grease monkey was fooled.
Yeah.
He was fooled by Trump, right? He got the wrong information. Not me. I'm educated.
Yeah.
I work in this nice building. I'm middle management. I make $125,000 a year. There's no way I was told a lie and believed it for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
No.
But I think with that you also have, like, not only were they're committed, they're married to it, but then they treated other people like crap who didn't prescribe. So now it's like, crap. Not only was I wrong, I'm a wrong asshole. Like, I was really mean to people. That's where that whole COVID forgiveness, the articles, you were like, give people space. They were scared. Like, pretty much just giving them an excuse for the mask shaming and the vax shaming and all this other crap that they did. Like, no, screw you. You're an asshole.
Well, it was even like I mentioned, like when Bill Maher was like, no, we shouldn't be shutting these people out. We should be welcoming them back in.
Yeah.
No. You're the one that needs to be welcomed back in.
Yeah.
You were the wrong ones.
Yeah.
You got the bad information. You believed the bad information, and you yelled at us with your bad information.
Yeah.
Why are you welcoming us back in? Because Orange Man bad?
Mm-hmm.
Because we believed the real information? No, I'm not coming back over to you. You can come back over this way.
Yeah.
And I don't need you to admit you were wrong. I don't need any of that. I don't even need an apology.
Mm-hmm.
But you're also not going to come over here with that nonsense you believed before and try and tell me that it's true still.
Yeah.
You got to let that go. No, they want us to go over there and apologize.
Yeah.
Apologize for what? For not falling for the bullshit?
Right.
And look, guys, don't get me wrong. That machine is strong. They were hammering. They knew how to do a psyop.
Yeah.
Because they did not miss that. I mean, I'm literally someone who got 2 doses of the original vaccine and a booster.
Yep.
And in my mind, I still think it was the right decision.
Yeah.
Even though I have no idea if it was or it wasn't. That's how strong that shit is.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, but you're right. I mean, and going back to the Trump issue, these establishment Democrats and Republicans don't realize that people are getting information from somewhere else, and they don't care about Trump.
Yeah.
They just care that he's not them.
Mm-hmm.
Still, to this day, the fact that people still believe that, wait, 8 years after he was first elected, or 7 years after he was first elected,
mm-hmm.
that means whatever they did didn't work. Because you were supposed to build back the trust of the people that voted for him because they weren't you.
Yeah.
So that they would vote for you again. And you just kept trying to shove shit down people's throat.
Yep.
Like, you were literally trying to tell people the sky is red when it was blue, and people could look up and see that it's blue.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's red.
And then the whole indictment on Trump kind of just reinforces that. Like, oh, hey, look, it's the establishment doing it again.
Yeah.
It just reinforces that, you still haven't learned anything.
That's the scary part of it. Because that's the truth. You're right. I mean, they're going to make a martyr out of this guy. And maybe they want to. I think they want him to run again. Mm-hmm. Because I think that they don't think he'll win.
Yeah.
Like, well, we won we stood Joe up in a corner, and he won. He didn't have to campaign at all.
Yeah.
He said the most outlandish crap during his campaign.
Mm-hmm. He still does.
And he still does. And Joe, in his white, Dr. Joe Biden, I'm sure she meant well, but they're now calling her racist.
For what now?
So LSU won the women's national
when they
championship.
invited Iowa or whatever.
And she just said casually, "Oh, we should have Iowa to the White House too." Well, Iowa's team just happens to be made up of predominantly white females, and the LSU team happens to be predominantly black females.
Yeah.
And never in history has the White House offered to bring in the losing team for the championship game. So now they're calling her racist. And it's like, well, if she's racist and Trump's racist, is there no racist? Is there going to be no racist candidate?
Yeah.
It's just like, it's almost like they're going to eat their own.
Well, yeah.
Or they just can't get out of their own way. I don't know. I don't know what the terminology for this is.
And can't it just be like, can't someone say, oh, well, it's highly possible that Joe Biden's just an old lady who doesn't really pay attention to sports. And yeah, her husband was vice president, but it's quite possible that she just didn't know. Like, oh, that would be nice because they played such a good, when your team loses, and your dad's like, you suck, and your mom's like, but you played hard. Like, you still haven't lost. So maybe that's like, she's just like the nice mom that's like, well, they played hard. Let's have them come too.
I guarantee you that's the case.
Yeah.
She probably doesn't know anything about basketball.
Yeah.
She probably doesn't know who gets invited. She probably doesn't care. It's not like a disparaging remark on her.
Yeah.
She was probably somewhere. They asked her a question about the game. She knew the two teams playing in it. And she's like, oh, we should have them all over to the White House.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. There was the whole controversy of that game with, I forget the girl from LSU.
No, when she did that, you can't see me, and then she
pointed
to her
ring, and everyone's like, And then everyone's flipping out about how she acted, and then they said that people were racist because they pointed her out. But then, like, first of all, it's sports. Everyone on the, regardless of the court, the microphones don't pick it up, but they're all chirping at each other.
Yeah.
They're all talking shit to each other the entire game. And then the game before, the Final Four game, Iowa, there's a girl that had the chick who was I can't see you, like with the pointed Caitlin something from Iowa, was supposed to be guarding this one girl for the and she just like waved at her like she's not gonna make it anyway. Like, yeah, go over there.
Yeah.
But no one calls. I'm like, can we just? Everyone's just talking shit, you know.
The Iowa girl did the "You Can't See Me."
Yeah.
To whoever they played in the semis.
Yeah.
So that's what the girl was doing. I mean, she was like, "Oh, you did it. Well, I do. Now I'm doing it back to you." And I'm the champion, by the way.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Right.
They were talking shit. And of course, she's just a pretty white girl. She would never talk trash like that. Oh, really? Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
But then everyone's like, "Oh, it's racist because now they're getting on the black girl for doing it." No, they're doing it because it's something to talk about.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they can talk about. And to be honest with you, just be happy they're talking about women's basketball.
Yeah, because nobody really cares, generally.
I mean, to be honest, there's something to do, but
yeah,
anything. There's the old saying: "There's no such thing as bad press." The women's game got a lot of coverage because the girl did the "You Can't See Me," and then another girl in the next game did the "You Can't See Me" and pointed to her ring finger.
Yeah. Guess
what? Next year when LSU plays Iowa, that's going to be a really big watch game.
Yeah.
To be honest with you,
it's funny because they're not even in the same. One's SEC, one's Big Ten.
But here's the thing: the women's national championship game had higher ratings than I believe an NBA playoff game.
Yeah.
That women's that women's bracket
or any Stanley Cup game.
Yeah.
Now I don't. So, in looking at that, because I read that article too, and it is impressive, and I'm glad that they did. You know, that it drew that much.
No one's talking about that, by the way.
But the thing is, I think it's a one-off game. I don't really think it's fair to compare that to a 7-game series.
No.
Best of 7 series. Like, if you miss game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals, okay, like you miss game 7.
Yeah.
So, I think it would be more fair to compare that to game 7s.
Well, so I think it drew more for both semifinal games.
Yeah.
And then the championship also did.
Yeah.
So it was the string of those 3 games. My point is this: is like, look, in the past, the women's tournament didn't get a ton of views.
Mm-mm.
I don't care. I think they were using it as a reference point, saying, look, these 3 games got more viewers than a first round NBA playoff game.
Yeah. There's also some like Thursday night football games that were in there.
Sure. And my whole thing is that should have been the focus.
Yeah.
But rather than reporting on that, they reported on this like little feud these 2 guys going on, which, to be honest with you, is probably just going to add more viewership next year.
Yeah.
So if I'm in the women's game and I'm either one of those girls, I'm just like, you know what? You're welcome.
And the thing is, with the women's, and the thing is, there's no one and done in. I mean, there might be with the WNBA, but what's the bigger stage for these girls playing? Is it the WNBA or the college game?
I think the college. I mean, well, money wise, it was overseas in Russia.
Yeah.
Because they got paid more over there, or Turkey, or wherever, some oppressive country where they could go and get paid to play some basketball. Yeah. But no, for viewership wise, for them, it's probably the NCAA tournament. Yeah. I got to imagine.
So those girls aren't doing one and done. They're going to be there for their 4 or 5 years of eligibility. They're not going to leave to go make $100,000 a year in the WNBA. Like, no, they're not doing that.
I don't even know if they're making that much.
Yeah, who knows what they're. I think some of the bigger stars.
The top ends are making cut like $1 million or $2 million, but
yeah, it's nowhere near what a dude in the NBA makes.
No,
even the last bench player.
That league, the WNBA, has been around 25 years. It does not make a profit.
Yeah.
In fact, if you took out the NBA's subsidy to it, they wouldn't be able to make payroll. Like the women wouldn't make anything.
Yeah.
Which I think is unfortunate, but the one thing I think the WNBA did was I think they expanded too fast. Mm-hmm. They don't have the talent pool to fill all the teams. Yeah. So you get some pretty bad play. Mm-hmm. If you were to shrink the player pool by shrinking the number of teams, if you got the better play, I think it would help enlarge the base of players you could pull from. Mm-hmm. Rather than women, like some girls are seeing like, oh, this is garbage.
Yeah.
Like this ain't, like you got like just turnovers left and right. Mm-hmm. Because some of the players, it's kind of like Major League Baseball, right? People are like, oh, you should go to 34 teams.
Yeah.
But there's not talent for 34 teams.
Well, the NHL made the same mistake when they expanded several years ago when they brought in like Nashville, Columbus, Atlanta Thrash. They had all these new teams come in. It was like, you don't have 32 number one goalies.
Yeah.
Like legit NHL number one. Like you don't have it. And the talent was really washed out. It's recovered somewhat, but
yeah.
They really they did the same thing. Maybe had NBA stay in like your big core markets. New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, DC. Maybe make it a 16-team league.
Yeah.
And then grow it naturally, organically, rather than say like, oh, hey, we're going to grow it. Bill Burr did a great joke. He's like, you guys are yelling at us for not watching the NBA. To the women, like, you watch the WNBA. Right. If it was just as good, it would be the NBA.
I got to take out the trash, protect you from a home invader, and watch women's basketball? That latest special, if you haven't seen it, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. But, like, it's true. Like, I mean, if it was good, and I'm not a basketball guy, so I'm not taking anything away from those girls. They're freaking, I'm sure they would destroy me in a game of horse or anything.
I wouldn't stand a chance. Not happening.
I would just sit down like, yeah, you're good.
Yeah. They would literally just shoot threes.
Yeah.
Over my head.
Yeah.
I can't jump.
Right.
Wait,
I can't shoot threes.
No. I can't jump. I can't shoot threes. I can't defend. You can just walk by me. You got me. I got it. You're solid. All right. But, I don't even mind watching women's basketball. I think it's... I can't stand watching the NBA.
I think I'd rather watch women's college basketball than the NBA.
I would by far. Yeah.
Because, the women's game is a more... Some people, like, would say it's a more pure form of the sport.
Yeah.
Because there's, they're not dunking and doing all this,
I feel like So, look, if I watch an NBA game, I don't feel like there's any passion there.
No, so NBA
they're running through the motions.
It's such a well. First of all, then you've got players who just they just go and like you'll see these players like they're going to make the playoffs. They just stop playing the last 3-4 weeks of the season.
Yeah, they just redid their collective bargaining agreement. Mm-hmm. So now the rule is if you don't play in 65 games, you're not eligible for end-of-year awards. So you wouldn't be eligible for league MVP, all defensive, nothing. Yeah. And a lot of these guys have riders in their contracts that give them extra money for making those teams. So that should help.
Yeah.
But some of the bigger guns, if I'm a LeBron James, I don't care about 65 games. Yeah. What do I care if I'm the league MVP at this point?
Yeah. And the thing is, NBA fans are so fickle.
Yeah.
You'll have people that are, and if they refer to him by his first name, like he's Jesus. Everyone knows who, if I say Jesus I say Jesus, I'm referring to Jesus Christ or Jesus of Nazareth. Yeah. Who I'm talking about. But they just say LeBron. They equate at the same level. And then they're just straight up LeBron fans. And no matter what team, you can see, there'll be Cleveland Cavaliers fans, and then they were Miami Heat fans. And then they were Cleveland Cavaliers fans again. And now they're Laker fans. Because they're fans of LeBron James. They're fans of a player. And it's weird how the NBA players, because there's no salary cap in the NBA. So it's almost like you just have all-star teams. Like LeBron goes to play for the Lakers and brings all his players in.
They do have a luxury tax.
Yeah, so
it's just like, that some of these teams pay it,
yeah,
and they don't care.
Yeah.
The problem, I think, I do think a big problem is the sitting out with the NBA.
Yeah.
And recently they actually had a couple of younger stars that came out and said, it was basically the Kobe Bryant line. Kobe Bryant said, and I don't remember when or where he said this, but he said, what if someone is coming to one game a year and I don't play?
Yeah.
And they could only, or it's something like they can only afford to come to one game a year and I don't play. Mm-hmm. And I let that kid down because I didn't play. And that was a real famous quote whenever he said it. But this year, 2 or 3 other players have said the same thing. Mm-hmm. So some of these players get it.
Yeah.
I think Giannis Antetokounmpo said it. He's the guy from the Bucks, which I think that dude, I mean, don't worry, he's winning up there with the Bucks. If he was in New York, it would be a major boom to the league to get him in a major market.
Yeah.
But he's in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, he does get on national television. I get that. But if he was in New York, it'd be a different story.
Oh, yeah. New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, one of the...
Yeah. But I think there was like another kid from Memphis from playing with the Grizzlies. Said the same thing. Mm-hmm. It's like, bro, if no one knew your name and that quote came out, guess what? That kid just got 1 million fans right off the jump. Yeah. Because a lot of... Cultural, call it what you will. There are a lot of people who see these stars take nights off, and it just bothers them.
Yeah.
But they see a young kid like that, and they'll watch him just because he said that.
Well, I just have a new favorite basketball player. So it's that guy.
Giannis?
Yeah.
Well, there were a couple other kids too, but this next generation that's coming through, you know, you had LeBron, the Dwayne Wades, the Carmelos. I don't think they got it.
Yeah.
Whereas the Kobes, the Michaels,
because Michael Jordan never sat out games.
No.
Patrick Ewing, none of those dudes did, unless they were injured.
Right. They did not sit out.
And then when you see the injury, there's watching LeBron James get carried off the court because he had cramps.
Right.
That same year, the Boston Bruins won the Stanley Cup, and J.C. Bergeron was their captain, played the last half of the playoffs with a broken leg.
Right.
So here's this NHL guy playing with a broken leg, and you're getting carried off because you got a cramp.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He that dude's got to be the most divisive sports figure in a long time.
I was watching highlights. He's throwing a tantrum.
Yeah.
Because he didn't get a call. There was a couple of years ago, the Lakers were getting eliminated from the playoffs. There was something like 50 seconds left in the game. LeBron's on the court. He just walks off the court into the locker room. Just leaves. Who the hell? But people still throw money at him. And
because people you're right. I mean, there are people that love him no matter what.
Yeah.
And there's going to be people that hate him no matter what.
Yeah.
It is what it is at this point. I mean,
how do we get here?
I don't know. We're 1 hour 18 minutes in.
Wow.
Yeah,
we got here quickly.
This is the people getting the extra minute episodes in this, getting an extra 20 minutes out of us. Somehow ended up with LeBron. That'd be a whole other topic.
Deep state LeBron.
Deep state LeBron. Imagine LeBron's part of the deep state.
Probably is.
Probably. But all right, we'll leave this where we are. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, comment, share. Follow us wherever we are. Thank you to Cheers and Spirits and Arnold in the Arnold Station Plaza. We appreciate you sponsoring the show. We'll see you guys next time.